There's darkness in the past, lurking in the forgotten corners of the 1950s. These are tales of horror that time has overlooked, haunting narratives that continue to chill us to the core. Today, we're going to share 5 of these chilling stories, hidden horrors that resurface to darken your screens and seize your imagination. Prepare to rediscover fear in the video that follows. Number 1. The Shadowy Depths. The Shadowy Depths hold tales that are much more than just mere words strung together. They host sinister stories, chilling narratives that were indeed born out of the 1950s, yet their dread never seems to wane with the passing years. The whispers of these tales from yesteryears still echo in haunted corridors and bellow in forsaken cellars, their essence etched deep in the pages of the forgotten annals of horror literature. As we venture into this grim world, we come across one such tale, that of Mr. Hugh Noland. A distinguished lawyer by profession, Hugh had a life that was the epitome of success. Outwardly, he was a cheerful and respected gentleman known for his wit and charm. But as we descend deeper into the shadows, his picture-perfect reality begins to shatter, revealing a grotesque portrait of secret agony. It started innocuously enough. Hugh began experiencing minor memory gaps, often forgetting links to ongoing cases, or even the discussions he had with his colleagues. Then, he started missing family events, reunions, casually waving it off as work overload. His daily routine became clouded with an inexplicable fear, an imposing terror that couldn't be seen. The inexplicable fear kept swelling until it no longer remained a small discomfort, but an uncontrollable storm whirling in Hugh's mind. Dreadfully, his once sharp, analytical mind was now being ravaged by frequent nightmares. He would wake up in cold sweat, seeing shadowy figures lurking in his room, their eyes glistening with malevolent intentions. He could hear the distant echo of a haunting lullaby that would grow louder and more threatening until it was the only sound engulfing his senses. Unable to share his tribulations with anyone lest they question his sanity, Hugh descended further down the proverbial well of terror. His once lively home now felt eerie, consumed by phantom whispers resonating from its shadowy corners. The nightmares grew more tangible, bleeding into his waking life. Each day was another battle, each night a terrifying experience he wished to never remember but couldn't forget. In a grim twist of fate, the unseen horror had achieved a tangible form. Slowly and meticulously, it had started devouring the man that was once Hugh Noland. A man whose strength was once his intellect was now being slowly disintegrated by terror-filled thoughts and unending dread. The shadowy depths of his mind were murky, providing the perfect dwelling place for horrors unseen. He was never found insane, nor did they ever find a diagnosis for his gradual decline. Some said it might be a new kind of mental illness. Others whispered about curse tales and paranormal incidents. All that remains now is a tale, a warning perhaps, of the unspeakable dread that the shadowy depths can hold, an echo of terror that can turn a vibrant mind into a desolate wasteland. The story of Hugh Noland, a person once full of life, now just another forgotten horror story echoed from the 1950s. Number 2. Silent Minds, Screaming Souls. Silent Minds, Screaming Souls unearths the chilling story that began in a seemingly placid neighborhood of suburban America in the 1950s. Picture white picket fences, kids playing catch in backyards, and stay-at-home moms baking apple pies. But scratch past this wholesome veneer, and you'll be introduced to a shadowy underbelly of deep-seated fear and dread. On Benson Drive lived the Connolly family, Robert and Joanne, along with their 5 children. This seemingly idyllic family was always seen laughing by the barbecue on warm summer evenings, but what the neighbors didn't know was that something insidious was lurking beneath the surface. Late at night, once the children were safely in bed, Joanne would hear Robert talking to what she initially concluded was himself. Dismissing it as mere sleep-talking, Joanne never confronted Robert. However, as time passed, the conversational murmurs grew more frequent, occurring even during the day when Robert was alone at home. Intrigued and terrified, Joanne decided to confront Robert, only to be met with complete denial. The mystery deepened as their eldest son, Paul, claimed to see a shadow man in his room late at night. Initially dismissed as a child's imagination working overtime, the parents grew concerned when even the younger children corroborated Paul's encounters. The family was divided, half in denial, half in terror, all in turmoil. One fateful night, the table lamp shattered in Paul's room. Panicked screams brought the family running, only to find the room ice cold and Paul curled up in a corner, trembling in fear. He professed he had seen nothing. No shadow man, no flying lamp, nothing. But the terror etched on his face told a different story. Attempts to rationalize the event failed. Breaking lamps, shadows dancing without a source, icy chills without open windows. It was inexplicable. Fear made itself at home in the Connolly household. Guests stopped visiting. The children stopped playing in the yard. The once vibrant home decayed into a tomb of fear and silence. While the family struggled through the chilling episodes, neighbors only saw silent minds. The screams of their souls were too faint to be heard beyond their white picketed fence. The mystery of the Shadow Man remained buried in the corridors of the Connolly home, a story whispered cautiously for years, a chilling reminder of the unthinkable horrors lurking beneath ordinary surfaces. Was it a shared illusion, a manifestation of collective dread? Or was there indeed a malevolent entity visiting them, still lurking unnoticed in some other blissfully ignorant household? The obsidian abyss of uncertainty, cold and unfathomable, only added to the creeping horror of the story. Number 3. Footsteps unknown, terror unseen. In the chilling years of the 1950s, unnerving tales wove themselves into the tapestry of the ordinary suburban lifestyle, lurking in the darkness like creeping shadows. Those tales did not revolve around spectral beings or monsters hiding beneath the bed, but stemmed from footprints that appeared mysteriously and sounds that echoed through the void of the night, suggesting a presence that was unknown and unseen. These tales of quiet terror, if unfolded, were enough to ignite a primitive dread in anyone with the bravery to listen. Consider, for instance, the haunting story of the Marsh family, which lived in a small town in Maine. Strange instances started plaguing them soon after they moved into their new house. At night, they heard phantom footsteps that echoed through their old Victorian house, a disturbing rhythm that haunted their dreams and highlighted their waking hours with a surreal fear. But what was most terrifying was the utter invisibility of whatever was causing these sounds. The family dog grew anxious, its loud whining and barking filling the hallways when the footsteps began. Safety turned into an elusive concept, and their once comforting home became a cage of fear, trapping them with an unseen terror. The police were summoned by their concerns, but soon declared the house clear of intruders, leaving the family alone again with their inexplicable horror. One chilling night, the footsteps echoed nearer than ever before, stopping suddenly right outside their daughter's bedroom door. The silent house quivered as the handle turned achingly slow. The mother, armed with determination and a baseball bat, swung the door open, revealing an empty, still hallway. Their terror reached its peak when they found a mirror in the basement which hadn't been there before, its reflective surface marred with the impression of child-sized handprints. No children had ventured down to the cheerless, neglected basement. Their daughter, pale and trembling, swore she saw a small boy reflected in the mirror, his feet leaving no prints on the dusty floor. They fled the house, the invisible terror trailing behind them. And even though they never returned, it is said that the phantom footsteps and invisible handprints continued to haunt the Victorian house, preying on the fears of unsuspecting inhabitants, a continuous reminder of the terrifying unknown. Number 4. Obsidian Nightmares. The Obsidian Nightmares segment of our journey into the unseen realm of terror transports us back to the simpler, yet harrowing era of the 1950s, a time when horror was served strictly black and white, yet unfailingly bone-chilling. Our tale unfolds in the quiet town of Ash Grove, where not much typically happened. However, things drastically changed with the arrival of the Fairbanks family, who moved into the long-abandoned mansion at the outskirts of town. The mansion, as locals whispered, was as black as obsidian, casting an imposing figure that shrouded the town with its ominous presence. The Fairbanks, an erudite couple with a 9-year-old daughter, remained unaffected by the unsettling tales associated with their newfound home. They settled in comfortably, oblivious to the unseen nightmare that resided in their house's dark, sinister corners. Little did they know, their lives were about to take an eerie turn. The daughter, Emily, found a new friend, a ghostly figure that existed only in the mansion's mirror. Emily often spent hours conversing with her phantom friend, people assuming it was simply an innocent child's imaginary friendship. However, Emily's parents were soon privy to the nightmarish reality when they would overhear one-sided conversations in the middle of the night, emanating from her room. Out of concern, they subsequently took Emily to a child psychologist who was just as puzzled as them. It was only when Emily's drawings of her supposed friend published in the psychologist's report made headlines that the town whispered about the Obsidian Mansion's horrors coming to life. Emily's drawing depicted a sinister figure with piercing red eyes that seemed glaringly similar to a previous tenant of the mansion who had mysteriously disappeared years ago. As the clock ticked and the horrifying reality began to manifest, Emily started displaying unnerved behavior. She insisted her phantom friend was not happy with the intrusion. Shortly after, inexplicable events unfolded within the home. Items began to move around, windows slammed in the middle of the night, and chilling whispers filled the silence. The distraught parents decided to move, but it was too late. Emily had become the unwilling medium, her innocence consumed by the Obsidian Mansion's nightmarish entity. The last straw came when Emily disappeared, leaving behind an eerily empty mirror and parents gripped with profound terror. Soon after, the ominous mansion was razed to the ground, leaving only whispers of obsidian nightmares. In the realm of horror, danger doesn't always need to announce itself with monstrous features or gruesome details. Sometimes the most terrifying nightmares are those that creep into our lives, quietly like an obsidian shadow, unnoticed until it's too late. As our story affirms, the past is never truly buried. It patiently waits within obsidian nightmares to resurface when least expected. Number 5. The Serpent's Lullaby. The Serpent's Lullaby is an often overlooked tale steeped in fear from the hushed whispers of the 1950s. An unsettling story about a quiet, tranquil town named Serenity, which, as one can infer by its name, was anything but sinister. Instead of holly-jolly chimes, the chilling melody of peculiar lullabies often echoed throughout the town after dusk. Mothers would sing these lullabies to their children, believed to keep the monstrous reptiles away at night. For centuries it was custom, an unbroken ritual that safeguarded their children from the wrath of serpents lurking in the depths of darkness. However, one night this lullaby ceased. Instead of the mellow melody, foreboding silence dominated the town. Mrs. Walker, a stalwart and open-minded woman recently moved to the town, dismissed this as an old wives' tale, disbelieving the power the lullabies held over the serpents. In her modernistic arrogance, she presented her son to the night untouched by the lullaby's sweet shield. As moonlight shrouded her son and utter quietude filled their home, she lulled herself into an ill-fated sense of security. The next morning, her screams echoed through the once peaceful town. In a scene right out of one's most ghastly nightmare, her son Samuel's bed was found empty. A single ominous and slick serpent scale shimmered in the cold dawn light, providing the only hint of his terrifying fate, a chilling testament to the power of age-old customs that were scoffed at by the uninitiated. All that remained of Samuel was his forgotten teddy bear, and the haunting silence that filled the room once echoing with his innocent laughter. This horrifying incident forever marred the history of Serenity with grim testament. The townsfolk, once cheerful and vibrant, now moved around as mere shadows of their past selves. The echo of the mother's lullabies grew louder, filling Serenity with an eerie resonance that served as a threatening reminder of the lurking dangers swathed in the depths of the night. As for Mrs. Walker, her disbelief led to her drowning in an ocean of guilt and loneliness, forever tormented by the silent lullaby. The tale of the Serpent's lullaby is a chilling reminder of dismissing folktales as mere superstition, as beneath such tales of horror often lies a slithering, cold-blooded reality. Amid the eerie shadows, silent screams, unseen terrors, obsidian nightmares, and the Serpent's unsettling lullaby we just explored were some hidden horrors from the 50s. If you took pleasure diving into these chilling tales, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories. Remember, the night's shadows always have more terrors to offer. Until next time, keep the lights on and sleep tight, and thank you for tuning into our ghastly world.